Thank you
Wait,
for joining us today on the Brothers Talk. My name is
wait, wait, wait,
Killtrap.
wait, wait, wait. I didn't know that was an option. Thanks for joining us today on the Brothers Talk. This is Nick, also known as Soviet Grain, your favorite brother, and I'm here with. This is your partner.
Killtrap.
Wes,
Also
also known as
Wes.
Killtrap. We're set. Pilot episode number 1. There was no unaired pilot. That is a conspiracy theory. Talking about conspiracy theories. My brother has a conspiracy theory or two, don't you?
So,
Anyways.
yeah, I'm one of the probably many people who were thinking the timing of these bans looks sus, especially with Mana Crypt, because Wizards has been pushing out these Lost Caverns of Ixalan packs for selling the Mana Crypt, all these special arts of Mana Crypt, and it's not just the collectors who want this. Of course, Commander players want this, from casual to competitive. Like, a lot of people were chasing this shit. And then, out of nowhere, the rug got pulled out from them. Not really any warning of much at all about this stuff. And the whole time, the committee was open. The committee even let us know, like, they were talking to Wizards about this for like a year or two. And when they decide to do a ban, they don't sit on a ban. They pull the rug out from our fucking feet. They throw the ban hammer quick. And so while Wizards knows how this is how they act, and Wizards knows they're talking about banning Mana Rocks, and they're looking at cards like Mana Crypt, they're not saying anything. In fact, they're advertising it. But a lot of people took that and they blamed the rules committee, who has no power here, and in my opinion, would have been stupid to have, like, it would have shown some real huge steel fucking balls, but it would have been stupid to speak up. Because Magic the Gathering would have came with the hammer. They would have stolen the reins of the rules committee right away. Or there would have been worse repercussions. And Magic the Gathering, Wizards or Hasbro, they may have said something.
And let
But
me
they
just say,
didn't have to say anything.
this is all speculative, of course. Like, no one's saying this stuff happened.
Yes.
This is what the community's saying a lot of,
my
though.
theory is speculative. This is all a conspiracy theory, but it
So
does make a lot of sense. And it
hold up, though. Are you saying this is your theory, right? Or is it something in addition to
yes.
this too? Okay, so this is your theory. Good, good, good. Listen.
No, this is my theory, and I think it makes a lot of sense. And even if it's, I think even disregarding that it's a conspiracy, I think probably some members of the rules committee did know that in the back of their head. If they had hinted Mana Crypt wasn't the safest investment, things would have gotten shaky.
As far as like Wizards coming down with their own version of a hammer in real life, is what you're saying.
Yes, repercussions would have happened.
Okay, and I
They're
feel
a
like
corporation.
I feel like I've heard some kind of mutters, not that specifically. I've heard mutters of like, we few players feel like it was Wizards that told the rules committee not to ban it right away or to hold off until these Caverns of Ixalan. What was it? Was it a special bundle, right? That this promo was in?
Yes, it was a special guest or whatever they're called.
Yeah, Secret Layers, right?
No.
No. Okay. Well, like I said,
Was it Secret Layers?
and it was like the chase card in those packs. And again, like sorry everyone who's watching. I don't know which boxes came out, and I don't keep up with all that too much. Thank you for commenting and telling me and correcting me which one it is down in the comments below. But yeah, so I've heard a lot of people say very parallel stuff to what you're saying.
I'm looking it up right now.
Oh goodness. Okay.
Yeah, maybe it was Secret Layers.
You gotta let me know when you're Jamieing it up. I mean, there's so many different things, and let's be honest too. Like we've all seen Commander change from when we were kids, and it was let's just get one of your favorite cards, who's a legendary, and throw all.
Okay,
the
it
cards
was
that
Secret Layers. Yes.
Okay, cool. But it used to be like let's get your favorite cards, legendary, throw all your stuff in there, and when whoever's best wins, it's gonna take forever. We're gonna have a lot of fun, and then it was like 4 people, and it long gone are those days because now there is competitive EDH. Now there is just casual EDH. I don't know which one the C is for. Is it for casual? Is it for competitive? I feel like whichever.
C is for competitive.
Okay, so I was gonna say whichever one the C is not for is the main version of it, and I was hoping it was casual. So.
Oh, I thought it was. Maybe I'm wrong because this says C casual command. I don't know then.
Oh yeah, that's just a YouTube thing. Don't worry about that. That's not even there. Ignore it. It's not even here. If my mouse didn't disappear, it'd be gone by now. So I just don't know if it goes that far. I think the furthest it might go might be that, they say conspiracy theories when everyone's in conspiracy with each other, and there's not a word for when everyone just has the same interest and heart, so they're going to do the same thing anyways, because they're not conspiring
Okay,
to
the C
do
does
it.
stand for competitive.
Okay,
Well, no,
good to know.
the conspiracy
But
would
well,
be
let me
that
finish this. What if it
Wizards or
was?
Hasbro.
Let me say this. What if it wasn't a conspiracy so much? It's just in orchestration with each other. It's just we don't want them to ban this card because it'll be bad for us. And then some people being like, we don't know if we should ban this card because there are people about to buy these packs. And then you have this awkward stalemate where Wizards didn't even have to tell them not to ban the card. They just had to put it in these packs that people were hyped to buy. And then the rules committee said, well, we just can't do it. And it's not like a quid pro quo or whatever, but it's a catch 22. They're very stuck in that situation where it's not nefarious, but it did happen for those reasons. I don't know, but like I'm saying, like I think there's, even if those things happen, what's the chances that we're going to find out at least that it was nefarious or conspiratorial?
Absolutely jack shit, Nick. People
Yeah,
gotta
yeah,
sign
that
NDAs
sucks.
and stuff. You know that.
NDAs don't mean
Everyone in
shit.
this rule committee probably has an NDA.
Most people,
No,
most NDAs
that
don't
means
hold
you
up.
can be sued.
I was going to say they
What
don't hold up if you're
if
broke,
okay?
because then they're suing you for nothing. I don't
Yeah,
know.
right.
I don't know most of these people, but I could imagine
They'll
anyone who
still
has
ruin your fucking life.
yeah, anyone who has a hobby of collecting cardboard with crack cocaine and ink printed into it probably doesn't have a lot of savings. I know I
I don't know,
don't.
unless you used to do it competitively, unless now you make a living off of
True, yeah, true.
because I mean, it could have just got these guys blacklisted. We don't know what kind of atmosphere Wizards has created
I
for the
mean,
higher ups.
yeah, that's kind of like
We could get the
access
next
reporting or
Gamergate
whatever.
from Wizards.
Have the next what?
Gamergate shit from Wizards for all we know. They could
Let's
be
not let's
brewing it
not
up
bring
right
it let's
now.
not bring that up. But I don't even know if that's really parallel because that was completely different. But yeah, we could have our next big
No, I
gaming
know, but you get what
scandal.
I'm saying.
Yeah, we can have a big
One
scandal.
minute, one minute. We called Gamergate was like video gamers Watergate. Like, how the fuck is that comparable?
Also, not super comparable either.
Exactly.
But because I just feel like gaming and a card game are a little bit too close to use that when the thing isn't actually accurate. Versus someone hears Gamergate and Watergate, they probably just think scandal. All that nonsense leaked in the gaming industry. This nonsense is leaking into all the MTG content. Everyone's talking about it, even some people who like barely talk about Commander. Or I barely do Commander content. I obviously don't record myself playing in paper, just Arena, and we're making a video about it. So everyone's talking about it. You brought up the public's point of view earlier, and you wanted to talk about that now. Like, what is the public's point of view? Is it pretty much the same as ours? Like, oh, maybe they did, maybe they didn't, but it's fucked up either way. I'm not
We need
even
to
sure if I
stop
think
turning on
it's fucked
ourselves.
up.
The community is eating itself alive right now over this shit. And y'all know there's some fat cat corporate bastard laughing at this stuff. Because if anyone goes to the Reddit threads or anything where there's any kind of Discord, I mean, Discord itself right now for Commander, I'm pretty sure they've turned the comments off. It's read only for the time being for the unforeseeable future. And
yeah. The Reddit's all like turned off
the
because
main
everyone's
issue,
going crazy.
yeah, and the main issue is like when someone says, I don't agree with the bans, all of a sudden people read, I agree with the death threats. That's not what people are saying. And I've been victim of this. I've been seeing a lot of people do this shit. But like everybody is fighting and bickering and it's crazy because all of us are just mad that Wizards is taking the reins of this. None of us want Wizards to have this.
I might have a hot take about this. I think you know my hot take about this.
I mean, a few people do. A few people probably. I have met a few people who want Wizards, and someone voted yes on our poll, so.
I'm not, it wasn't me. I'm not even saying that far. But what I'm going to say is that it was inevitable. I kind of said this to you in text the other day, but a lot of people were complaining about stuff that happened Commander. And of course, these people who we respect and maybe the freaking inventor of Commander stepped up and said, let's make a committee for people who make rules. Let's make these rules. Let's ban these cards people who say too powerful. And there's always going to be someone who, when you ban a card, says, no, that card wasn't broken. This other card is the same thing. Or, no, that card wasn't broken because it's just not as strong as people say. Whatever reason, it was like, it wasn't that broken. Or we'll always cry for a ban, which is so ironic.
I'm still calling for Sheldrod to be banned.
Sheldred. But yeah, exactly. Well, one day, guys, she'll get her banned one day. And while we're at it, we'll get Leyline banned. And we'll get Carousel Sword banned while we're at it.
Real?
And let's go back and get
Why
that
the
toxic
fuck did
motherfucker.
Why did Leyline not get banned? Why is Leyline of Resonance still standard?
It just came out. They got to make their money. Anyways, so there's always going to be that kind of stuff. But these guys pretty much like took the brunt. They said, a few of us are going to listen to the community, try to be experts yourself, be involved, and try to make it better and healthier. And I think for the most part, like, I wasn't super involved with Commander. I played it super casually. I think for the most part, it had a good effect, though. Like, whenever I heard people talk about certain bans and stuff, I mean, nothing ever sounds too crazy to me. I'm pretty mild on those things. Every now and then I'm like, that's stupid. But the point I'm going to make here, thank you for sticking around for me for this one, because it was a bit of a long one, is... my hot take is a lot of people were complaining about that kind of stuff, so we made a rules committee. Then people complained about the rules committee recently. So what's the company who makes money off this game? They have so many different Commander sets come out a year now, and so many different boxes come out a year for Commander now. They make a bunch of fucking money off this game. What are they going to do for one of their favorite formats? Going down the drain because a few people that the people enjoy kind of didn't even pick made rules that upset them. Of course they're going to go in there and say, you're out of here, we're in charge now, we're going to make sure our game's taken care of. And I hate to say it, because it's what we got, but this was inevitable. Of course Wizards was going to come in and take control from and I don't actually mean this, but the insufferable,
this is a great segue, Nick.
The insufferable Grifton fans who just complained about stuff. So I'm not really even saying that's what happened, but it does seem almost sad, but sure inevitable.
Wizards didn't take control, but they probably knew the moment would come.
Because that's what just happened yesterday, right? They just
Jim LePage's statement.
Okay, keep going.
Anyways, the first paragraph basically sums up how Jim LePage talks about how Sheldon Menery reached out to him. Menery reached out to him in 2019 and about forming a rules committee for Commander because he was very passionate about that game and he had a plan for the game. He mentions how he goes on to mention how he's read as much as possible of the community's feedback and what people say to him. But here I want to start off halfway through and just start reading. I don't think it's possible for a group of part-time volunteers to rise to the task being the Commander's Rule Committee. Beyond that, my inability to protect myself and the people that I care about casts the whole situation in a different light. This part needs to be dealt with immediately, and I need to acknowledge that I am not the right person to deliver on those commitments. The best chance I have of honoring Sheldon's legacy is to hand the keys over to the people who are more capable and better resourced. Did you want to tune in for this, Nick? No? Okay, so then, as it continues, as Jim LePage continues, last week I reached out to Wizards of the Coast for help, and we collectively began work on transitioning all management responsibilities of the format. I'll be providing them with my roadmap, contacts, and documentations to ensure that the transition is smooth. It's extremely important to me that the format's new leadership remains faithful to Sheldon's vision of a vibrant, global community with a strong focus on the people who play it. They then go on to express their gratitude to the people who have helped them through this journey and how they are very devastated by the outcome that we have all reached.
So this was on like X, formerly known as Twitter, right?
Correct. This was a tweet, I believe.
Okay. We haven't changed that yet?
Well, I don't know, because...
They're not X's yet? Or O's?
No, this wasn't a tweet. This was on X, yeah.
Okay. Can we just call them O's? X's?
Anyways, as you were saying, the Wizards took control. Wizards didn't take control. These guys felt they were no longer up to the task, and maybe even unsafe to do the task.
I was going to say, yeah, I mean, can you blame them for that either? So, question for you, though. You told me this, Jim LePage. So he's on the RC, or was in the RC. He was a judge. So he's a very qualified person. A lot like Sheldon was. He was someone who cared about the game and dedicated time. And what was that thing you said about doing this part time? That part I didn't get. Again, like it just didn't make sense to me.
Okay, see, I knew you wanted to chime in somewhere. That's why I was asking. So,
No, I want you to finish first.
the committee, they don't, do they get paid for this? Because I thought you said they don't get paid for this.
I assumed they wouldn't. I
When they
thought it was
got paid for
free.
it.
I thought you do it out.
I
Like
thought they were volunteers. Yeah.
that's what I
So they're
thought.
part-time volunteers. They don't really have as he mentioned, they don't have the resources to
Oh,
do this
that's
stuff.
what he meant.
Like
He
they
didn't
do.
mean he went from
Their
full-time to
resources
part-time.
are the community.
Gotcha.
And the community turned on them in a heartbeat.
Okay. Yeah, it did seem that way. Well, I mean, I don't want to say this because I did hear some people talk about this, and there were a few people who had, they said it was disappointing, but that they also didn't understand why some people were so upset. And I will say this again, like, no one had, I don't think anyone had 100 of these that they were saving and that this is my retirement fund. They're going to be worth $10,000 one day. I'll fucking be living in the Alps with just this. Were there people
A few
who
people
spent,
probably did.
maybe, you're right, probably a few. There were
But
probably
that's what you get for playing the market.
Yeah, you're right. Now these next people probably didn't play the market. The people who spent $100 to $200 to buy a copy in the last year or two, hell, anytime they probably feel burnt.
Yes.
The sooner, the more burnt you feel. If you're like, I just got a copy last month, you feel super burnt. If you're like, I bought that 4 years ago, you're not quite as burnt. It was probably the same price 4 years ago, but it definitely wasn't like $10 4 years ago. So, anyways, you've got this pulled up now here too.
Yes. Now this is another thing, another
Who's
tweet,
Toby
another
Elliott?
X. He is another member of the committee.
Okay, thank you for explaining that to a pleb like me.
They say this isn't what I wanted to happen for Commander, but it's what was necessary at this point. They're talking about the bans, the cards they chose to ban, which were I think they were all mana rocks outside of Nadu, which probably they were just like, that was a terrible, terrible card.
I just think
Stay
everyone
away
gets
from my
laughs
format.
about Nadu. They're just like, oh my god, they made this card that was supposed to be for Commander, but it didn't cut it, and then they were like, let's change it, and let's do it real quick before they can test it. Let's not push it for the next set, maybe. It just really showed a lot of holes in the R&D department of it, like if you want to call it that.
There are just so many little tweaks they could have done to make it good.
Oh, they made it too good. That's the problem, brother. It was too good. And
like balance.
then they were like, okay, well, it was made for Commander, tweaked for standard, it'll get good to Commander, and then it's like one of the most busted things in Commander, apparently, too. So, apparently it was more busted than Mana Crypts. Because they banned it quicker than Mana Crypts, right?
Yeah. But anyways, they say, when you can't make difficult decisions without worrying about your safety and well-being, you can't run a format. Especially one with a non-traditional point of view. Because, yeah, we all know Commander really doesn't have the most traditional point of view. Like, there are, in my opinion, there are two sides of Commander. It's a very, very heavy coin. One side is competitive. Build the best deck you can, and it's kind of split down the middle. A lot of people think, why should we have bans? Why should we have things like that? If the point is to make the most aggressive, best deck possible. And, you have other people who are like, oh, thank God it's saving the format. But, on the other side, other than competitive,
let me back that
casual.
up, though. Most people, and I have heard people like, why are we banning this? Again, because they're like, it's a fun card, you're just nerfing the formats. But then there are a lot of times there are people, and I don't think this is a good example, obviously not this, but there are other people who are just like, oh, thank God, I'm tired of that deck because it's just a very linear deck. And that's what kills people is linear decks.
Storm kind of just got their kneecaps taken out, didn't they?
Things like that happen because it's not just like the deck I'm playing against is playing very linearly, but it's going to make me play in a very linear, boring, not the way I want to play fashion. And that deck makes everyone plays that way. Think again, red deck wins right now. It makes you play in a way that you might not have wanted to play against any other deck. But you're like, oh, but it's red deck wins, so I got to do this. How many times you said, well, it's red deck wins?
Yeah, especially when they're 50% of your matches.
Exactly.
On best of one, at least.
So then that's when people take a look at metas, and again, yeah, it's best of one, not a real format. That's when they take a look at metas, and you have exceptions like the One Ring because it's colorless. So beating 40-some% of modern decks is just like, well, everybody's doing it.
In my opinion, can we get rid of Karn? Pull a card from outside of the game is the laziest bullshit ever. You're not a good deck builder.
I mean, there are other cards to do that.
You can't build a deck, bro.
Karna's the only one that does that with artifacts that I can think of off the top of my
Oh,
head.
true, yeah. He only does artifacts, you're right. But it's like,
I'm
okay,
sure other things do
literally,
artifacts.
it's like this anime I used to read, manga I used to read, where this kid had like these magical gloves with like a portal, and anytime he ran into a witch that was kicking his ass, oh, don't worry, I got something in my glove, and it's a better gun.
Ah, that sounds like a good superpower. Um, okay, sorry, I think I got us off
Oh yeah.
tangent. So go
So
to
now,
these tweets.
yeah. So continuing on the tweet, on the second part of his tweet, Toby Elliott says, "I agreed that we made mistakes both before and after the announcement. In a lot of ways, we were trying to figure out how to operate in a post-Sheldon world, and I remain convinced that the bans will be a good thing for the Commander community and what we've been trying to accomplish." I'm sorry, I added community just for Commander. I don't know why that word came out, but either way. So what he's saying here though is very important in my opinion. If we go back to my conspiracy, because it's
So I think I
in
know
a
where you're
lot of
going
ways
with
we're
this. It kind of
yeah,
sounds
yeah.
like
One
without the
minute.
big dog
Yeah, we
around to
made a lot
protect
of
them.
mistakes both before and after the announcements. Yeah, so it's like, they didn't know how to handle. They brought it up to Wizards. Wizards said something. This is the before the announcement. They didn't know what they were doing. And yes, like you said, without Big Dog to protect them, they were probably getting bullied.
Yeah, that or they just didn't know
Let's get
exactly
real.
what to do. Wizards won't really give them too many pointers.
No, dude, I guarantee you there was a lot of. I guarantee you in the backroom talks, there was a lot of inferring.
Well, again, like this could have been a
If
thing that
this
was done
happens, that would be
intentionally.
terrible.
Yeah, yeah, like that could be a thing that happens intentionally, like you're saying, or it could be a thing that just happens because everyone knows. Um, I'm failing to think of a really good example. I'm usually great at thinking of like metaphors and allergies and allegories and stuff like that, but um, I'm failing to think of a really good one right now. But like you get the point I was making. I got a mosquito in here.
So, but yeah. Anyways, to finish up their tweet, they say their deepest thanks to everyone, my fellow committee members, the CAD, the folks at Discord, and all the players who have found resonance in what we've tried to do over the years, for coming along with us on this crazy journey. I look forward to working with the team at Wizards of the Coast to help them to pass the torch that Sheldon lit 20 years ago, and will continue to be a tireless advocate for social play. And I don't think I'm wrong here, because I think these two work great, because Toby Elliott was a very heavy advocate for social play, and I believe Jim LePage was a very heavy advocate for competitive play. I may be wrong about LePage, but I think he was an advocate for competitive play. So these guys both had the same, both had one side of the coin in mind, and they were trying to meet in the middle here. But yeah, as this all works as a great segue into Nick's video, they were operating in a post-Sheldon world. The guy who created the Commander format back when what was it used to be called? Legend Dragon or some shit? Back
Um,
where
well, I know EDH is Elder Dragonhead.
that's what it was. Yes, EDA. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh god, yeah. Back when we were
and
kids, that's what it was called. And
yeah, and remember, like
uh,
I don't know how I think we
the
started
things dreams
playing
were made
like
of.
2001, 2002, so 8th or 10th edition or something like that. But I know that the whole there were when we were younger, people talk about that's because you only had a few summon legends around, and most of them were like Elder Dragons, like Nicol Bolas and the other dragons that had all the different colors. And
Yeah.
remember, Nicol Bolas was the ugliest little fuck, dude. Oh my god, he was so
Oh,
ugly.
dude, the
He
first
had the
Nicol
best
Bolas.
blow
Oof.
up. Yeah.
It's like if you're a Monster Hunter fan, look at the first Rajane.
Yeah, pull that up for us,
It's like
Wes.
that.
Pull us up Nicol Bolas. Can you do that?
Oh my god, dude! I forgot how
Oh my
fucking. Oh my
gosh. Let me just go full
god!
screen.
Holy
Can
shit!
I zoom in? Zoom,
Is that
editor.
better?
Zoom. Look at this. Look at these. Look at these. Look at these with the mouses. That is peak mouth
Okay.
physique right there. Look at these ripples.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Oh, those
Oh,
ridges. Oh, what smash or pass?
and he's just sitting there.
I'm taking the smash. He
And
didn't
look,
answer me.
nipples. He's got a nipple. Oh, I'd smash. Cause look,
Okay, I'm glad. Yeah.
they drew him up Tim Burton Batman style and put
Yep.
the
Oh,
nipples
put
in
the
there.
suit on and everything.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
without
Like
that
that's
aside,
good.
let's get to this video. I have not watched it live. I watched 30 seconds of it and said, ooh, this looks good. Because I wanted to see what my brother was talking about. And I have not watched as much as we're going to watch now. Oh,
without anyone crashing the Commander RC website, if you banned Mana Crypt, what does the RC, expect players to understand when a card like Mana Crypt is banned without having to explain anything? Like, what should be, what ought to be the player expectation or understanding when they announce a banning of a card? What are the things they should look for?
The simple answer. That's a question that deserves a very complex answer.
Take time. I want to talk to you about that.
I thought you would. That's an interesting. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Selfless plug. That's like almost exactly what I said. Which, like, I get it. What you're saying there. But they brought up first off, everyone else at home watching, I'm going to link this video. It is the Mind Sculpters. It's a podcast with the man himself, Sheldon Menery. And he's talking about he was asked, what if they banned the card they just freaking banned, Mana Crypt. And of course,
I'm going to say something.
Yeah,
this is their first episode. They asked him a hard question like that. Yeah. I'm going to start listening to that.
Everyone else, subscribe, follow, like, comment, feed the algorithm. These guys seem like they know what they're doing. But yeah, that was a good question. And you could tell he's just like, oh, I've got to be careful what I say already. Kind of like everyone else saying, like, they would know if people were talking about banning this. But they were talking about this, and this is October 8th, 2021. So almost 3 years ago.
Okay. Almost 3 years ago.
A week from 3. It's 3 years. It's 3 years. You're right. It's 3 years. Okay. Resume.
Mm-hmm. Take your time.
The simple answer there is that when a card gets banned, that we feel that it's a negative experience for the format as a whole. Players sometimes get hung up on what a card does. Well, Golos does this, and it's, that's not that bad. Or Primetime does this, and it's not that bad. But it's not just what a card does that will get it banned. It's what a card does to the format. And I think that the big takeaway, the relatively TLDR takeaway, when a card gets banned, is that we really think, because we want to keep the ban list short, we really think that this particular card is bringing a broad negative net experience to the format. Commander is unlike any other Magic format. We're the only one that has a philosophy, right? And we're the only one that manages the ban list more as an art form than as a science, right? The standard ban list, arguably, is a very scientific process. They get tournament data, they see, whatever their data is, they apply that data set to what, sort of an expectation of play. And if a card is violating their expectation of play, and they have the numbers to back it up, they'll ban it. We're a lot fuzzier around the edges, and kind of intentionally so, right? So the ban list is only part of the narrative of Commander. I understand for a lot of people that they only see the hard edges, right? Some people are like, here are the lines. This card is legal. That card is not legal. That's all I need to know. Back when we had the old website, we saw the number of hits for each page during update season, and 4 times the number of people read the new ban list than read the new philosophy document. So when we put them out, the new philosophy document or the updated philosophy document and a ban list at the same time.
Hold up.
Most people.
Yeah.
I think I remember that philosophy document. I read that.
Oh, hey, is this picture disappearing for you?
What picture?
The YouTube picture.
No, the YouTube's there for me.
Cool.
Okay, but yeah, I remember usually I'll read this kind of stuff because the rules committee has always I've never known what to think about it. there are these judges. It's this group of judges and tournament players who were friends with Sheldon, the creator of the game, that all grouped together, and they were like, "We're gonna say what should be and shouldn't be in this game."
Well, I think maybe
But yes,
originally it would have been like, of course, it's going to be friends with Sheldon. He's the guy who invented Commander, but also like into that, like, it's going to stop being people who knew Sheldon, and it's going to stop people who knew Sheldon being people who knew Sheldon before they joined the committee. Eventually you get new people who it's just like, I've kind of proved myself at this post. Let me see if I find someone else who can join me at this post. If there is any kind of bias or, people being dirty, then yeah, it's going to happen regardless. So I'm not talking about that, but you're right. Yeah, it was his friends. That's who he probably started off with, people he knew. Of course, that makes sense to me. I don't think that's such a bad thing.
no, but it was just, of course, it's a little condescending, but you kind of want to let's see how this goes, kind of thing. But that's all I was gonna say about that.
True. Sorry. Let's listen to play.
We're just reading the ban list.
Hmm.
They didn't want to get through the 6 paragraphs or whatever it is on the philosophy document. And I get that. Like, I get that. I get player experience coming from other formats. They're a box. Other formats are really a box. These sets are legal. These cards are legal, and you have a pretty an extremely well-defined environment. Whereas in Commander, again, the ban list is just one part of the tool of telling the story that we're trying to tell. And this broad play experience, this positive communal play experience, is what we want to foster. But we want to do it in a way that doesn't necessarily have to have the real sort of nuclear option of the ban list. We could definitely craft the vision of what we see as great Commander games by banning 40 more cards.
Mm-hmm.
But that is a weight, like 100 card ban list is just a weight that we don't want players to have to carry. Mm-hmm. Right? That's way too big. It's just it does something to prevent people from easily getting into the format, from grasping the format, from the experience. So we have this sort of fungible ground that we're working on, and we could easily philosophically ban 5 or 10 more cards and be consistent with the philosophy document. We could probably unban 5 more cards and still be consistent with the philosophy document. So it really is a picture, swinging back around to directly answer the question. It's about creating this picture that we think provides the best possible play experience. But there's people think that there's a perfect play experience, and I don't think that's the case, right?
That was the end of that part that they had labeled where he talks about player expectations. He has one other part I probably would check out myself, which is where he talks about just about casual versus competitive. That's probably good to hear about.
Oh, I'm muted. Sorry. I want to talk about something there. When they brought up he brought up the statement they wrote out that only 1 to every 4 people who read the ban list read their mission statement, basically, where they're like, this is our goal for Commander. And I don't have that pulled up right now. But, one thing he mentioned is, it's true. They wanted Commander to be something anyone can enjoy, where it's a game about community and not about competition versus standard and modern, where, yes, that's about a competition, obviously. Like, who doesn't like making fun decks for standard? But if you're playing standard, you are playing to win.
Well, yeah.
You're going to your local game store. You want to get card packs.
And I think they get into that when they talk about competitive versus casual, and then the part where he says there's a part of 40 minutes where it's like pre-game conversation. That's probably a great part to talk about that too. I didn't want to jump in and interrupt.
He mentioned.
Yes, don't add that.
He mentions the nuclear option, and that is basically what they just did. And then when he says the ban list, it's not healthy to have a ban list at 100. Oh, I don't know why I clicked on that card. Oh, fuck.
Well, yeah.
Either way,
It's not healthy to have a huge ban
it,
list, but again, like there's so
do you
many
know how
cards.
big the ban list for Commander is?
How big?
I think it's a little bit over 50. I have it pulled
Okay.
up right now on screen share.
So they raised it by
We're gonna go through it. Some
roughly.
of these are
Well, I was going to say they raised it when they banned 4 cards. They raised it by anywhere from like 8 to 10%, so not even that much. Not even 10%. So
no,
like
it's not like
6 to 8%.
not a huge ban.
And
And if
I
you look
get
at some of the cards on here,
one thing too
like
that
the
video.
Moxes are banned. That's no shit.
Well, yeah. Let's say this though. One thing that I want you to talk about, or not you talk about, but I want to talk about is he brings up the idea of standard has a list, modern has a list, which let's be honest, modern is every fucking thing, just like Commander, pretty much everything, or his legacy, it's everything. One's everything, one's almost everything. Pauper has a list, etc. And then you've got all these ones that have their own bands list. You got to memorize it. And here's the thing: this isn't exactly what he hit on, but this is I think what he meant to. When you go into standard and you see, remember when Invoke Despair was banned, or if you see Kiki Jiki being banned, and you might go like, well, that's banned in standard. What would it do in a different format? You might be like, well, that's banned in standard. So decks that do bad against black might be good because black's best card is gone. You might have ideas like that, right? Because you're living in a small ecosystem of there are 5, 6, if you're lucky, popular decks. Versus Commander, he kind of hit on this. There's so many decks you'd never keep up with them all. Even if you see the same commander, it's not the same deck ever. So you always get that diverse gameplay. So they're not banning cards necessarily the same reason they banned them in standard, where it's like, well, I see the One Ring, or modern, I see the One Ring all the time. Standard, I see Swift Spear all the time. They might ban it though because it's just like, well, anyone is going to play. No one's not going to play a turn 4 commander if you can get your commander out in turn 4 by playing a Mana Crypt and a Soul Ring and a Jeweled Lotus and this and that. Why would you ever play a 6 mana commander? You're only going to play 4. And if you're going to play, you're not going to play a 3 mana commander because that's a waste. If you can get a 4 mana one that's more powerful, and you're muted, I think. But you get what I'm saying.
No,
there.
I'm not. I just wasn't
okay.
speaking.
But like
But
that's the linear play line they're dodging.
Yeah. While you're on your rant, I was looking through the ban list because I'm sure a lot of people who play Commander know a lot of the bans are mana focused. Like some of the cards I just clicked on were some of the nastiest shits ever. Like I forgot about Tolarian Academy.
Oh yeah. Well, again, like that's because that impacts your commander more than anything. It impacts the
Yeah,
cards
but then
you
there's
play, but your
also
commander also like, hey, why would the fuck would I play this 3-drop? I can have a 5-drop same turn.
or like Channel. I forgot about Channel.
I love Channel.
Everything becomes Phyrexian. It's like, dude, there are just some, over the top bonkers things. And of course, Ancestral Recall is banned. Fucking Black Lotus is banned. All the Moxes are banned, So obviously, I think these bans are somewhat in line with the goals of the Commander Committee, maybe even the vision for Sheldon, but there was just a lot of bad execution, and maybe even the wrong cards targeted.
So do you think that let's get your final thoughts on this all, because I'll give my final thoughts first, I guess. That way you can have the final one. I'm going to stick by what I said earlier. Like, I hate to say I'm not staying on anyone's side, but like the whole Wizards take control or the committee stepping down, it unfortunately seems inevitable because there's nothing but this vicious cycle. It doesn't need to be a vicious cycle. It can be a normal cycle, but there's nothing but this kind of predatory cycle of like complaining about something until you get someone out and then someone new coming in and then didn't have a problem with that because they complained about something that other people did or didn't complain about. People complain about that person until that gets done. And then eventually someone's going to come in and take control. And this is where
there's transparency. And
that's the point people made too, right? It's like Wizards would have told us when Wizards does bans, they do this. Wizards tells us, and they're evil. So of course, I don't think this is evil. Don't ban me, Wizards. But I do I see the irony in it all.
Like, think of that. You've heard of the First Ascendant, right?
Well, yeah. I was going to say, here's the final part. It doesn't even matter. Doesn't matter if some guy in a chair says you can't play this card. If you go to your friends and they all have a copy, you say, hey, you guys want to play this card? It does matter for your value. It matters that you just lost money. I get that. That sucks. That's fucked. No one can say that.
Hear me out. I've been trying to tell people that, and most people say, well, that's just childish. Like, no, it's not, because basically by them, they're like, that's like a kid sticking their fingers in the ears. I can't hear you, so I can still do this. But by them saying, Like, you guys can't. It's like a kid on the playground saying, well, I'm a fifth grader. I own this playground. I can do what I want. I can destroy the equipment. I can kick other kids off. It's my playground.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
and
so we're all being childish here.
we don't need to be. We don't all need
It's
to
just
be.
mine's a form of protest.
If we go online and we see someone saying something we don't agree with, and we share an opinion that they might not agree with, it's okay to disagree. If someone says like you're childish, my best thing to do about that is to not reply. It'd be childish to reply to that. Because the big thing is like, what's that thing they say?
I don't know. I need to stay out of the discourse. I'm
Well,
getting
yeah,
triggered.
you're never gonna. Like, if someone just has a different point of view, it doesn't mean they're an idiot. But if you get your point of view and they're just like you're an idiot, and not even give a reason why, like you're childish, you're never gonna convince an idiot with logic. You're only gonna beat an idiot by being dumber than they are, and then that's not winning because now
No,
you're
but-
the idiots.
No, but sometimes, you're just hoping that I mean, not the idiot you're talking to, but another idiot reading this goes, you know what, actually, that guy kind of makes a good point.
I can't wipe my ass with hope, man. I'm sorry.
My ass is full of hope. Little rays of sunshine. Shit it out every morning.
It's why I play counters. I don't have much hope for this world.
That's why I top deck as an aggro deck against control decks.
Hey, if you play Delirium, every game's a top deck.
But yeah, I want to take a look at the future of Commander 2. I'm going to skip all this bullshit on... This is the official Wizards Magic the Gathering website.
Oh yeah, that's
what they
complete
published on
bullshit.
September 30th.
Who
A lot
cares
of
about
people
the
have probably
official
read this.
websites?
There's probably a lot of people who have read this, and they're saying, well, it's still very early. We do want to share one of the things we've just started working on with the rules committee, a more objective approach to deck power level and additional guidance and shared language for players to find games that match their type of game they're trying to play. Does that sound like they just described formats to you, Nick? Commander is going to be split up into 4 sub-formats, according to this article.
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought I was hitting my vape with nicotine. I don't know. Maybe I switched out for peyote. I'm not quite sure what that means. I mean, different
That means
commander.
they're gonna...
So is this like Hell Q, non Hell Q? Is this like tiers? I heard someone talking about tiers. Is that what they meant?
They're saying tiers, but Nick, what is
brother,
Pioneer and Modern?
Ew, brother.
What
ew.
are Pioneer and Modern but tiers? Correct?
You could say
They're
Pauper's a
both
tier.
tiers of a non-rating format.
Is Pioneer
But
and
Pioneer-
Modern aren't those really just formats?
Yeah, they're all formats. They're tiers of non-rotating formats.
I'm
basically.
sorry. How's Pioneer? So which? No. They're tiers.
No, Pioneer is just a weaker version of Modern because they made it
Okay.
weaker by making it only things from Return to Ravnica
So,
in the future.
Pioneer
They're
is
both non-rotating formats.
Pioneer's a tier of Modern.
No, it's
Modern's
a
the OG.
tier of a non-rotating format.
Okay.
Let's say, if we were playing games and I said I want to play non-rotating format,
I'd say Modern.
I want to play Legacy or something like that.
Well, that's just
they used to be called
that's
Legacy,
just a
right?
longer version of Standard
But yeah, let's say
or a shorter version
basically
of Modern.
now they're saying there's two Legacy versions of this game. Legacy being you can play all the cards we've made because that is what the blanket term Legacy means. So now we have 2 Legacy formats. We have Modern and we have Pioneer. Actually 3 because we have Pauper. So now we have 3 tiers of Legacy in power level.
Okay, so hold up. You mind if I read this next part where they say, here's the idea. There are 4 power brackets,
Yeah, go
and
for
every
it.
commander deck can be placed in one of the brackets by examining the cards and combinations in your deck and comparing them to lists we'll need community help to create. Bro, I can't even power grade my own deck. They're like, yo, what's your deck? I'm like, I don't know, man. It's like a 6,
That
5.
too.
What's yours? A 10? I got a 10 too. Yeah, I've got infinite combos all day. Yeah, I've got that shit. I don't have that. I still got basic lands in mine. You can imagine bracket 1 is the baseline of an average pre-construct, or below, and bracket 4 is high power. So, I mean, are people going to be bitching? I got a 3, you clearly brought a 4.
Hear me out though. What does that mean when they're making a pre-constructed deck with an infinite combo in it?
I mean, you can't win with it.
Yeah, sure, it gives them one chance to board wipe, but like you could probably just slide in one extra card and now it's a win condition.
Well, that's a little bit more like on the nose. It's like, hey, this is infinite, so that makes it this power tier at least. Okay, what about this? Example, cards you could bracket. For example, you could imagine bracket 1 bracket 1, the lowest one, has cards that easily go in any deck, like Sword to Plowshare, Grave Titan, Cultivate, fuck that. Well, bracket 4 would have cards like Vampire Tutor, Armageddon, and Grim Monolith. So you're telling me, hold up, back the shit up. You're telling me your Sword to Plowshare 1 mana destroy anything, exile anything, and my 1 mana Tutor aren't the same thing? You're telling me Grave Titan and Armageddon aren't in the same power brackets? Why? Go to Swords Plowshare. Let everyone see that shit. Go to Swords. Go to Swords. Go to Swords. Go to Swords. There we go. Exile target creature.
Yeah, exile target
its
creature.
Controller gains life. Exile their best thing, and I get a little bit of life. Some good creatures don't even have fucking power.
And I think that's kind of silly too, because like I know I'm talking about niche approaches here, but I mean it's Commander. Commander damage gets the win, so it's not exactly a niche approach when you say, "What does life gain matter if my plan is to kill you with my Commander?"
Yeah, and so exactly, and so like here's the other thing
what's
too.
path to exile to these motherfuckers?
What if I'm milling? It doesn't matter. So here's the thing: is like, and again, I'm not even saying
is
my
why
stance
Johnny's
is the
never
right
been.
stance, but like someone could make these arguments. Why is this Tutor better than the best removal? What if I'm tutoring my fucking removal? Why is Grave Titan not as good as what is Armageddon? 4 mana or 3 mana? Wait, Armageddon destroys everything? Which one's Armageddon?
Armageddon just destroy all land.
Oh yeah, that's definitely banned. I mean, that's
now, here's this.
rule 0
In this
banned
system,
right there.
your decks will be defined by its highest bracket card or cards. This makes it clear what card go where and what kinds of cards you can expect people to be playing. For example, if Ancient Tomb, tap, add 2 mana, colorless, and it deals 2 damage to you, is a bracket 4 card, your deck would generally be considered bracket 4, just for having that in there. But if it's part of a Tomb themed deck, the conversation... Oh, never mind. I thought 4 was the higher bracket. 4 is the lower bracket.
No, 4 is the highest bracket. 4 is like God level.
Okay.
It's Goku going up on Beerus.
Okay. But if it's part of a Tomb themed deck, the conversation may be, my deck is a 4 with Ancient Tomb, but a 2 without it. Is that okay with everyone?
So real quick, I want to jump in. What they're saying for all the dweebs
They're just
at home.
making this clunky.
Yeah, they're just saying, hey, my deck is a Goku, it's Gogeta with Ancient Tombs, but take that out, it's just Vegeta. It'll do good, but it's not going to win. That's just sad.
And they know it's not going to guarantee perfectly matched games.
No, but that's hold the front door. So they're saying like now you're making a deck. You're like, I can't put this 1 card in here or I can't put these 2 cards because they're tier 4 cards and everything else is tier 2.
Now here's what's scariest to me about this statement, though. We will be evaluating the current bans card list alongside both the Commander's Rule Committee and the committee. That means their committee.
No, the Rules Committee
and
the community. Who's the community?
Sorry,
They say it's everybody. How do we know? I've never gotten an email from Wizards like, how do you feel about this ban coming up? I've been like, let me just sell them all real quick, and I feel great.
Yeah, right.
So, question for you though, like this, they mentioned something.
There were talks about when they do standard bans, when they do modern bans, there are talks about the bans. There are talks about what cards are more commonly used. People have a heads up, things are going on. It's almost like this happened out of nowhere. Like 2 or 3 years ago, they probably mentioned we're going to be looking at mana rocks, and then nothing. What did Wizards say to make them shut the fuck up? That's what I want to know.
I mean, don't they always just, you've said yourself, they just come out really quick with these bans. I've never seen anything before. It just leaks.
Yeah, like I don't know if, because I don't think the Rules Committee has ever said we're considered banning these specific cards. But the fact that Wizards is selling this shit while talking to them about them banning these certain cards, who can take more of a financial hit? The consumer or the company? Let's get real.
So one thing
they
I
could
want
at
to
least
add in
told
here.
people, this may not happen the way you think it will.
Well, one thing I want to add
Mana Crypt would
here,
have dropped half in volume.
Kind of off subject though, but on what they said. I know you're talking a lot about, we're talking about Mana Crypt and talking about all that stuff. I won't lie, I'm a little bit burnt out. I'm talking about all that stuff. But they did mention how they're going to be evaluating stuff in tiers, and if you have a card that's a high tier card but doesn't fit a theme, it makes your tier high tier. But if you have like a theme that fits in, but it's a low power deck, consideration. This sounds a little bit like how they do. I wonder how much this goes into their weighted system for Brawl. I wonder. That's what I'm bringing up. And if that way,
I think this is exactly how they do the Hell Q.
Well, I know with Hell Q, they're like, okay, this commander's Hell Q, because I've had I made decks with commanders where the decks weren't even that good, but they had a really good commander because I want to stay in certain colors. And sometimes you're like, well, this is the only good commander I have in this color, and I want to do this in the deck, so I'll get this commander because it'll help me do it. But then you're like going against that commander, you're like, oh my god, this commander is too fucking good because all the other mirror matches are way too strong, and I'm going against other commanders that are too strong. That makes sense.
I just hate mono black commander brawl decks, mono black brawl decks, because you're not playing this to have fun. You're playing this to win. You're just everything in your deck.
Hey,
you look
some
at this guy.
people have fun by
Everything in your
winning.
deck is made to kill or make me discard stuff.
Some people have fun by winning. But
I
also,
don't even know who their commanders are half the time. I don't even care because it's all the same deck.
so like I was saying, like just because your commander's different, you'll go and help you. But like I've even had a weak commander. I'm sorry, yeah, commander and brawl, and a bunch of really good cards, which turn out to be just like removal, and counters turn to be really powerful cards, which all of a sudden puts me in hell queue with a weak commander. So I'm wondering, do sometimes they just say, well, they've got this 1 or 2 card, and these 1 or 2 cards are really good, so we're going to bump them up the queue in a 99 card deck, which you may never draw those 2 cards in. And that's got to really sting. Yes. If you're like, I love this one card, it's really good, this is my favorite Planeswalker removal counter, I'm playing in the color, let me throw it in, but everything else sucks.
Hear me out, Nick. If you were, let's say if there was the hell queue, the theory of the hell queue for Arena, which did we explain that?
I think it's been proven. I think it's been proven at this point.
Okay, well, the theory or thing is about the hell queue on Arena is if you're playing Brawl, there's basically 2 matchmakers. One of them is more casual orientated, and the other one says, your deck is kind of pseudo competitive or competitive level, so we're gonna throw you with the other tryhards, and you guys can sweat it out together. And like if you make a mono black deck, because everything's going to kill, everything's going to make people discard, you're probably going to get thrown in the hell queue. If you make a Gruul deck you're probably going to throw in the hell queue. Because your goal with the Gruul deck is to ramp up and get all these mythics and rares and legendary creatures on the field. And 1 or 2 of those creatures are going to be just bonkers.
Unless if you're running Cultivate, apparently, because Cultivate's a tier 1 card.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
So basically, auto add in all my group
I could have like a garbage Gruul deck that really isn't like made for ramp, and I was like, I'm gonna throw what's that guy that when they enter the battlefield, people reveal cards until you hit a non-land card, then you get to cast both cards, and the guy transforms into a creature that talks.
Just say like a decent commander.
You know who I'm talking about. Yeah. But no, like if I just have that guy thrown in my deck and he's that power level 1 guy, now my deck gets thrown in the hell queue, even if the rest of it sucks.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I just don't trust Wizards with this stuff, because we've seen how painful they make it.
Yeah.
Or it makes you like, well, I want to play this commander, I need to make a strong deck. Or I want to play this deck, I need to have a weak commander to force what matches all gets. And at the same time, if they didn't do that, anyone could go up against those Roko decks that just, I don't know what the new Roko is. Maybe it's the Squirrel, but they go up against those decks that have the turn 4 commander that get out in turn 2 or 3. Seems to be a pattern in Brawl, just like Commander, get a turn 4 commander out early, and then they go ham. And you're stuck there like, well maybe they I had a tap land, so go me.
Brawl is also proof they don't understand the Commander format, because if Brawl was Arena's version of Commander, first of all, our health is 25.
Well, it's 1v1. It's not supposed to be a super
I know.
long
Why
game.
can't it be 30? It should be 30, first of all.
I'd like that
It should
myself.
be 30.
I'd like that personally, but like
we're a singleton deck meant to actually do things, not aggro is too easy.
Well,
I'm an aggro player. It's too easy to just get in there.
They want the mobile experience or even the computer experience. They want you to be like, well, I can get on and play a quick game. Because then you play a quick game, and then you might play another quick game, another quick game. If it's I'm going to get on and play a hour-long game, people might not jump on as often. But if you know that, hey, there's going to be a few quick games, I'll get on. Hey man, have you ever played best of 3 and queued up against
okay, that's different.
And then you're
that's why I don't like best of 3.
That's why, that's the only reason I don't play it. I love best of 3, but I can't play it as often as I'd like, because I'll just be like, well, I can't even finish this third match because opponent wanted to think about every fucking last thing. There's conspiracy theories out. We shouldn't be mean to people. We shouldn't just assume people are being mean because that they have a different point of view than us. You think Wizards are going to fuck everything up. I think Wizards are going to do whatever they can to make money, which doesn't necessarily fuck everything up. Look at Standard right now. Everyone thinks Red Deck Win sucks, but in reality, like, I think everyone loves Dustborn so much. I bet you Dustborn packs are selling left and right. I bet you no one even cares about this band when they buy standard packs.
Dustborn was a huge power level boost, though. It was.
They go to the store, they buy Dustborn pack. We go to the store, we buy Dustborn pack, and while we're spending all this money on the new product, we're bitching to the store about how dare Wizards do this. I can't believe the guy I'm giving a buttload of money to right now.
By the way, Nick,
ruining my favorite thing in life. Take my money, store owner. And I'm glad we support
this reminds me about the first Ascendants.
Yeah.
Real quick, Nick. This reminds me about why I brought that up. In the game, there's a character called Glay. Super overpowered. And a lot of people were worried, like, I don't want to spend $60 or $100 on this character just for her to get nerfed. The devs came out and said, we're not nerfing her. Like, no. This is the way she's supposed to run, guys. She's supposed to use a rocket launcher like a goddamn machine gun. But if they didn't say anything, and then Season 0 hits, and they nerfed her, how do you think people would have reacted?
Well, obviously, yeah, they'd be pissed off. First Ascendant's a video game. Is it a gacha game? Or
Yes.
Is it a free-to-play, or how's it work?
It's a free-to-play. It's kind of like a Warframe Destiny-style game. So, you grind and stuff. It's not really gacha, but...
So how do you buy your character that's $60? I didn't get that part. You pay the game $60
I'll tell you
for a
something
character?
too, dude.
I'm such a boomer.
Yes, you can buy an Ultimate Descendant. You can buy an Ultimate Descendant, and they can cost like $60. Or you can get like the Ultimate Descendant package, which costs $100. I don't know. It's fucking ridiculous the price they paid for those guys.
You've got to boomerize this. You can buy a package on the game that gives you the character, a bigger bundle on the game that gives you a character, or more bonus stuff, right?
Yes.
Oh my god, I got it. I'm on. Okay, so there's no free way to get it. Can you grind for them?
You can grind for them, but I'll tell you something really weird. Really weird. The reason I'm not playing that game anymore, it really is because of Magic. But I had to take a break from that game before this because I had done over 200 incursions to get Glay. 100 of them were spent to get one part. I haven't gotten that part. I've gotten a different part twice, by the way. But both of them have the 6% drop rate.
And incursions are missions.
Yes, sorry, yes, these are missions.
These missions, because you said drop rate, it's a random thing. You aren't guaranteed to get it. It's like a 6.5, 1%.
No, she's got a 6% to 10% drop rate, depending on how you do it. And dude, I'm gonna tell you something, dude.
And this shit's purple, isn't it? Is it purple?
Probably.
It's a purple puzzle piece.
It's either purple or yellow. Purple or yellow.
It's gold. It's not yellow. It's gold.
Yeah, gold. Yeah.
Okay. And then they nerfed her, right?
No, they never did. But if they had nerfed her, there would have been so much outcry, so many people wanting refunds, they probably wouldn't have gotten. But free-to-play games have done shit like this before, dude.
Well, how do you think Genshin
They have,
Impact
released
fans
something.
feel?